Hello there, and welcome to another evening of peaceful stories. This is Kevin, and tonight we're going to step through the heavy oak doors of Whitmore Manor's private library, where the scent of aged leather and parchment mingles with the gentle patter of rain against tall windows. Outside, a proper English storm is brewing, but inside these walls, we'll discover a sanctuary of warmth and wonder that has sheltered countless readers through the decades. Make yourself comfortable now, settling into whatever cozy space you've chosen for this evening's journey. Take a slow, deep breath, allowing your shoulders to release any tension they've been carrying from the day. Feel the weight of your body sinking naturally into your chair or bed, like settling into a well-worn library chair that has cradled many thoughtful readers before you. With each gentle exhale, let yourself drift a little further from the concerns of the day, preparing to enter this peaceful world where time moves slowly and stories unfold like turning pages. The year is 1893, and we find ourselves in the heart of the English countryside, where Whitmore Manor stands proud against the rolling hills of Yorkshire. This magnificent estate has been home to the Whitmore family for generations, but tonight our attention turns to its crown jewel, the private library that occupies the entire east wing of the manor. 3 stories of carefully curated books stretch from floor to ceiling, connected by narrow spiral staircases and cozy reading alcoves, tucked away like secrets waiting to be discovered. As evening shadows lengthen across the countryside, the first drops of rain begin their gentle percussion against the library's diamond-paned windows. The sounds start softly, almost hesitantly, like fingers tapping thoughtfully on glass. But as the storm gathers strength, the rhythm becomes more purposeful, more insistent, creating the perfect backdrop for an evening spent among beloved books. Lord Edmund Whitmore, the current master of the house, has always believed that a proper library should feel like a living creature, breathing with the stories it contains. Tonight, as rain begins to streak the windows and distant thunder rumbles across the moors, the library seems particularly alive. Gaslight flickers warmly from brass sconces mounted between towering bookshelves, casting dancing shadows that make the leather-bound volumes appear to shift and whisper among themselves. The main reading room occupies the heart of this bibliophile's paradise, dominated by an enormous fireplace where logs crackle and spark with cheerful determination. Persian rugs in deep burgundy and forest green cover the polished hardwood floors, their intricate patterns worn smooth by decades of scholarly footsteps. Comfortable leather armchairs are positioned strategically throughout the room, each accompanied by a small side table perfect for holding a cup of tea or a pair of reading spectacles. Along the western wall, tall windows stretch from floor to ceiling, offering views of the manor's formal gardens during daylight hours. But tonight, with rain beginning to streak the glass and darkness settling over the Yorkshire countryside, these windows have become mirrors reflecting the library's warm interior back upon itself, creating an intimate cocoon of light and learning. The shelves themselves tell the story of generations of passionate readers. Here, first editions of Shakespeare rest alongside contemporary works by Oscar Wilde and Arthur Conan Doyle. Scientific treatises by Charles Darwin share shelf space with the romantic poetry of Lord Byron and Percy Shelley. Travel journals from family expeditions to exotic lands nestle between philosophical works and collections of folklore gathered from around the British Isles. Each section of the library has developed its own distinct personality over the years. The history alcove, tucked beneath a curved window on the second level, contains chronicles of empires rising and falling, memoirs of great leaders, and detailed accounts of battles fought on distant shores. The natural philosophy section boasts leather-bound volumes exploring the mysteries of the natural world, from botanical studies illustrated with hand-coloured plates to astronomical charts mapping the movements of distant stars. But perhaps the most beloved section of all is the collection of stories that occupies the entire south wall of the main floor. Here, Tales of adventure and romance, mystery and wonder line the shelves in perfect order. Gothic novels that send delicious shivers down the spine stand alongside heartwarming stories of family and friendship. Fairy tales collected from German forests mingle with legends gathered from Celtic shores, creating a tapestry of human imagination that spans centuries and continents. As the rain intensifies outside, drumming more insistently against the windows, we can almost hear the library settling into its evening routine. The ancient floorboards creak softly as they adjust to the changing temperature. The leather bindings of well-loved books expand and contract with tiny whispers. Even the gaslight seems to burn more steadily now, as if the fixtures themselves understand the importance of providing reliable illumination for evening reading. Near the great fireplace, a particular armchair has earned the unofficial title of the reader's throne. Upholstered in rich brown leather that has been worn to butter softness by countless hours of use, this chair sits at the perfect angle to catch both the warmth of the fire and the light from a nearby reading lamp. A small mahogany table beside it holds the evening's necessities: a steaming cup of Earl Grey tea, a plate of digestive biscuits, and a pair of wire-rimmed spectacles that catch the firelight with every movement. The storm outside continues to build its strength, and we can hear the first genuine rumble of thunder rolling across the countryside, like a distant conversation between giants. The sound seems to make the library even more inviting by contrast, emphasizing the safety and warmth contained within these book-lined walls. Rain patters against the windows with increasing intensity, creating a rhythm that seems almost musical in its complexity. Lady Margaret Whitmore, Edmund's wife, has always insisted that the library should remain a place of quiet contemplation rather than formal entertaining. No grand dinner parties or elaborate social gatherings disturb the peaceful atmosphere here. Instead, the space is reserved for more intimate pleasures: solitary reading by the fire, quiet conversations between close friends, or the simple joy of discovering a new author whose words seem to speak directly to one's soul. Tonight, as the weather outside grows more dramatic, the library feels particularly welcoming. Someone has recently added fresh logs to the fire, and the flames dance higher now, casting warm light across the nearest shelves and creating pockets of golden illumination throughout the room. The scent of burning oak mingles with the ever-present aroma of old paper and leather, creating an olfactory signature that visitors to Whitmore Manor never forget. The reading lamp beside the leather armchair casts a perfect circle of light, just bright enough for comfortable reading without straining the eyes. Its brass base has been polished to a warm glow, and the green glass shade filters the gaslight into something soft and soothing. This little pool of illumination feels like a private world within the larger sanctuary of the library, a place where stories can unfold without interference from the outside world. As thunder rumbles again, closer this time, we can appreciate how the storm enhances, rather than disturbs, the library's atmosphere. Each flash of lightning beyond the windows serves only to emphasize the steady warmth of the interior lighting. Every gust of wind rattling the window frames makes the crackling fire seem more welcoming. The increasing intensity of the rain creates a natural white noise that seems to encourage deeper concentration and more peaceful contemplation. The library's collection includes several weather journals kept by various family members over the decades, documenting the patterns of Yorkshire storms and the ways different seasons affect the countryside around the manor. These handwritten records, bound in green Morocco leather, note not just meteorological observations, but also the emotional impact of different weather patterns. The way autumn rains seem to encourage introspection, while spring showers bring feelings of renewal and possibility. Renewal, and tonight's storm promises to be one of those memorable Yorkshire tempests that will surely earn its own entry in the family weather journals. The rain has grown from gentle tapping to a more determined drumming, and the wind has begun to sing through the manor's chimneys with that particular note that old houses make when embracing the wild weather. Inside the library, these sounds create the perfect symphony for an evening of reading, each natural percussion adding its voice to the peaceful ambience. The library's upper galleries, accessible by narrow spiral staircases tucked discreetly behind the main shelves, offer their own unique charms on a night like this. These elevated spaces, with their sloped ceilings and intimate alcoves, feel even more secluded when storm winds whistle past the smaller dormer windows. Here, specialized collections await the curious reader, maritime adventures that seem particularly fitting when rain lashes the windows like spray from an angry sea, or collections of ghost stories that gain additional atmosphere from every crack of thunder. One particularly cozy nook on the second level has been fitted with a small writing desk and an adjustable reading lamp, creating a perfect retreat for correspondence or private journaling. The desk's leather top, worn smooth by decades of use, holds an inkwell, several quill pens, and a stack of fine writing paper embossed with the Whitmore family crest. From this vantage point, one can observe the entire main floor of the library while remaining pleasantly hidden from view, like a literary spy surveying a kingdom of books. The storm's intensity continues to build, and now we can hear the distinct sound of heavy raindrops striking the conservatory's glass roof in the adjacent wing of the manor. This rhythmic percussion blends with the deeper notes of thunder rolling across the Yorkshire Dales, creating a natural orchestra that seems composed specifically to enhance the reading experience. The library's acoustics, shaped by thousands of books and heavy draperies, soften these sounds into something deeply soothing rather than startling. Near the poetry section, a particular shelf holds volumes that seem especially appropriate for stormy evenings. Here, the collected works of Wordsworth celebrate the dramatic beauty of English weather, while Coleridge's mystical verses seem to dance with the shadows cast by flickering gaslight. Tennyson's romantic narratives gain additional power when accompanied by the sound of wind and rain, and Byron's passionate verses seem perfectly suited to the dramatic atmosphere of a proper English storm. The library's temperature remains perfectly comfortable despite the tempest outside, thanks to the steady warmth radiating from the great fireplace and the smaller hearths tucked into reading alcoves throughout the space. The central heating system, recently installed at considerable expense, ensures that even the furthest corners of the library remain welcoming. Brass radiators, disguised as decorative elements, provide gentle warmth that keeps the air just dry enough to protect the precious books, while maintaining the cozy atmosphere that makes extended reading sessions so pleasurable. As lightning flashes beyond the windows, briefly illuminating the formal gardens in stark detail before plunging them back into darkness, the contrast makes the library's interior seem even more inviting. The steady glow of gaslight, the warm flicker of firelight, and the focused beam of reading lamps create layers of illumination that feel both practical and magical. Each light source serves its purpose while contributing to the overall atmosphere of scholarly comfort. The library's catalogue system, maintained in a series of leather-bound ledgers, reveals the thoughtful organisation that makes this collection so accessible. Books are arranged not merely by subject, but by mood and season as well. Summer reading occupies shelves near the eastern windows where morning light streams in during longer days, while winter volumes cluster near the fireplaces, where their darker themes and weightier subjects can be properly contemplated during shorter, colder months. Tonight's weather would typically guide a visitor toward the adventure section, where tales of exploration and discovery await. Stories of Arctic expeditions seem particularly compelling when warm and safe inside, while storms rage without. Maritime adventures gain additional drama when accompanied by the sound of wind and rain. Even domestic novels take on enhanced meaning when their cozy family scenes contrast with the wild weather beyond the windows. The library's collection of meteorological texts includes fascinating accounts of famous storms throughout English history, complete with detailed illustrations of cloud formations and weather patterns. These scientific volumes, bound in deep blue leather to match their atmospheric subject matter, document everything from the Great Storm of 1703 to more recent tempests that have shaped the English landscape. Reading these accounts while experiencing an actual storm creates a wonderful connection between scholarly knowledge and immediate experience. A small alcove near the natural philosophy section houses the Manor's collection of star charts and astronomical instruments, though tonight the brass telescope remains covered and unused. When storms pass and skies clear, this corner becomes a launching point for celestial observations, but during weather like tonight's, it serves as a reminder of the vast cosmos beyond our immediate concerns. The contrast between the intimate scale of the library and the infinite scale of the universe adds a pleasing sense of perspective to the evening's contemplations. The servants have long since completed their evening duties in the library, ensuring that all the gas jets burn steadily, the fires remain well supplied with fuel, and fresh candles wait, ready should they be needed. Mrs. Hartwell, the head housekeeper, takes particular pride in maintaining the library's perfect order. She understands that a well-tended library is like a well-tuned instrument, requiring constant attention to remain in proper working condition. Throughout the evening, the storm provides a constantly changing soundtrack to accompany whatever reading material one might choose. During the gentler interludes between thunderclaps, the rain creates a soft background whisper that encourages deeper concentration. When the thunder rolls more dramatically across the countryside, it adds emphasis to whatever passage might be under consideration, as if nature herself were providing commentary on the words. The library's windows, though securely fastened against the storm, occasionally rattle slightly when particularly strong gusts sweep across the manor grounds. These small sounds, far from being disturbing, serve to emphasize the security and warmth of the interior space. Each rattle reminds us that we are safely contained within this sanctuary of learning, protected from the elements by solid stone walls and generations of careful maintenance. As the evening deepens and the storm reaches its full intensity, the library seems to gather its warmth and light more closely around itself, creating an atmosphere of perfect contentment. This is the kind of night when books reveal their deepest secrets, when stories unfold with particular richness, and when the simple pleasure of reading by firelight becomes a profound satisfaction that touches the very soul. The grandfather clock in the corner chimes the hour with deep, resonant notes that seem to harmonize perfectly with the rolling thunder outside. Its steady tick has become part of the library's heartbeat, marking time in a way that feels both measured and timeless. The clock's mahogany case, polished to a warm glow by generations of careful attention, stands like a sentinel among the books, reminding us that while stories may transport us beyond the boundaries of time, we remain anchored in this particular moment, this specific evening when rain and wind conspire to create the perfect atmosphere for literary exploration. The storm has settled into a steady rhythm now, neither building nor diminishing but maintaining that perfect intensity that makes indoor spaces feel especially precious. Each window in the library reveals a slightly different aspect of the tempest. The tall, south-facing windows show rain streaming down in silver rivulets that catch and reflect the interior gaslight, while the smaller casement windows facing east offer glimpses of trees bending gracefully before the wind, their branches performing an ancient dance against the dark sky. Near the biography section, a comfortable window seat cushioned in deep green velvet provides an ideal vantage point for observing the storm while remaining perfectly warm and dry. This particular spot has become a favourite among the younger members of the Whitmore family, who often curl up here with adventure novels or fairy tale collections, watching the weather provide dramatic illustrations for whatever stories they might be reading. Tonight, the seat remains empty but inviting, its cushions still holding the faint impression of the last reader who claimed this cosy refuge. The library's ventilation system, ingeniously designed to circulate fresh air without creating drafts that might disturb the reading atmosphere, works particularly well during stormy weather, Small vents hidden behind decorative grillwork allow the fresh, rain-washed air from outside to enter the library gradually, mixing with the warmer interior atmosphere to create that perfect balance of freshness and comfort that serious readers appreciate. The result is air that feels both invigorating and soothing, charged with the electrical energy of the storm, but tempered by the steady warmth of well-tended fires. Mrs. Pemberton, the library's unofficial guardian and Lord Edmund's former governess, has left her mark throughout this space in subtle but meaningful ways. Her careful annotations in the margins of favourite volumes, written in her distinctive copperplate hand, offer insights and observations that enhance rather than intrude upon the original texts. These gentle scholarly conversations between past and present readers create a sense of community that spans decades, making each book feel like a continuation of an ongoing dialogue rather than a solitary experience. The collection of travel narratives occupies several prime shelves near the main fireplace, and tonight these volumes seem particularly appealing. Stories of distant lands and exotic adventures gain special poignancy when read while safely ensconced in the familiar comfort of home. Accounts of desert expeditions become more vivid when contrasted with the cool dampness pressing against the windows, while tales of tropical exploration seem more fascinating when accompanied by the crisp energy of an English storm. A small side table near the travel section holds a collection of maps, some historical and others contemporary, that allow readers to trace the journeys described in the various expedition accounts. These charts, some hand-drawn by the travellers themselves, others professionally printed and bound in atlas form, spread across the table's leather surface like invitations to adventure. The lamp positioned above this table casts its light at precisely the right angle to illuminate the geographical details without creating glare on the paper's surface. The library's acoustics continue to work their subtle magic throughout the evening, transforming the potentially disturbing sounds of the storm into a symphony that enhances rather than disrupts the reading experience. The high ceilings and book-lined walls absorb harsh echoes while amplifying the more pleasant frequencies, creating an auditory environment that seems almost engineered for concentration and contemplation. Even the most dramatic thunderclaps arrive here softened and rounded, more like musical percussion than startling noise. In the philosophy section, volumes by ancient and modern thinkers await readers seeking deeper contemplation on nights when weather encourages introspection. Plato's dialogues, bound in rich brown leather with gilt lettering, sit alongside more contemporary works exploring questions of ethics and meaning. These books seem particularly appropriate for stormy evenings, when the dramatic weather outside naturally leads to consideration of larger questions about human existence and our relationship with the natural world. The library's collection includes several journals kept by family members during their travels, and these personal accounts offer intimate glimpses into how different climates and weather patterns affect the human spirit. Lady Margaret's diary from her honeymoon journey through the Scottish Highlands contains particularly evocative descriptions of Highland storms, while Edmund's father wrote extensively about the monsoon seasons he experienced during his diplomatic service in India. These first-hand accounts of weather in distant places make tonight's Yorkshire storm feel like part of a global conversation about humanity's eternal relationship with the elements. A small alcove tucked between the literature and history sections has been converted into what the family calls the correspondence corner, furnished with a delicate writing desk and supplied with fine stationery, sealing wax, and an impressive collection of fountain pens. This intimate space sees frequent use from family members maintaining connections with friends and relatives scattered across the empire. Tonight, the desk holds a half-finished letter, the writer apparently called away by some domestic concern, leaving behind evidence of the gentle social connections that this library helps maintain. The storm's lightning has begun to flash more frequently now, creating brief moments when the library's interior is supplemented by brilliant natural light that transforms the familiar space into something almost magical. During these instantaneous illuminations, the books seem to shimmer on their shelves, the leather bindings catching and reflecting the electric brightness before returning to their normal appearance in the steady glow of gas and firelight. These dramatic moments add an element of natural theatre to the evening's reading experience. Near the children's literature section, a small rocking chair sits ready for those occasions when younger family members visit the library for storytelling sessions. This particular chair, crafted from cherry wood and cushioned with needlepoint depicting scenes from Mother Goose Tales, has provided comfort for 3 generations of Whitmore children. Tonight, it rocks gently on its own, moved by the subtle air currents created by the storm's pressure changes, as if invisible young readers were still settling in for bedtime stories. The library's heating system maintains perfect temperature control throughout the space, but the storm adds its own natural climate variations that enhance the reading experience. Cool drafts from the windows create pleasant contrast with the warmth from the fireplaces, while the electrical energy in the storm-charged air seems to sharpen mental focus and increase alertness. These natural environmental factors work together with the library's designed comfort features to create reading conditions that feel both luxurious and invigorating. The rare books collection, housed in a climate-controlled cabinet with glass doors, includes several manuscripts that deal specifically with weather lore and seasonal traditions. Medieval texts decorated with illuminated letters describe ancient rituals for encouraging favourable weather, while more recent scientific treatises attempt to explain meteorological phenomena through emerging theories about atmospheric pressure and electrical activity. These volumes bridge the gap between folklore and science, showing how human understanding of weather has evolved while maintaining certain eternal fascinations. Throughout the library, small personal touches reveal the reading preferences and habits of the family members who use this space most frequently. Lord Edmund's bookmark, crafted from silver and engraved with the family crest, marks his place in a volume of Gibbon's Decline and Fall. Lady Margaret's reading glasses rest atop a collection of contemporary poetry, while young Master James has left a school composition book filled with his attempts at weather observation beside a window where he conducts his amateur meteorological studies. The storm shows no signs of abating as the evening progresses, but rather than feeling trapped by the weather, the library's occupants would feel liberated by it. Stormy nights like this create perfect excuses for extended reading sessions, for exploring books that might normally seem too lengthy or demanding for casual perusal. The dramatic weather outside provides natural punctuation for reading, with thunderclaps serving as chapter breaks and lightning flashes as moments for reflection on particularly meaningful passages. A collection of musical scores occupies one corner of the library, and tonight, the storm provides a natural accompaniment to these written melodies. Beethoven's Pastoral Symphony seems particularly appropriate, with its famous storm movement echoing the real tempest beyond the windows. Even without instruments to play these pieces, the presence of musical notation adds another artistic dimension to the library's atmosphere, suggesting the deep connections between literature, music, and the natural world that provides such rich material for human creativity. The evening continues to deepen, and the storm maintains its steady intensity, creating that perfect balance between dramatic excitement and cozy security that makes certain nights absolutely unforgettable. This is the kind of weather that transforms an ordinary evening into something special, when the simple act of reading by firelight becomes a profound pleasure that touches something deep within the human spirit. The library, with its centuries of accumulated wisdom and comfort, provides the ideal setting for this natural theatre, where weather and words combine to create an experience that satisfies both mind and soul. The grandfather clock continues its measured counting of the hours, each chime blending seamlessly with the storm's natural percussion. Its steady presence serves as an anchor point in time, reminding us that while stories may transport consciousness to distant realms and different eras, we remain grounded in this particular evening, this specific moment when Yorkshire weather conspires to create the perfect sanctuary for literary contemplation. The library's gas lights flicker occasionally, not from any fault in the system, but from the subtle changes in air pressure that accompany such dramatic weather. These brief variations in illumination add their own gentle rhythm to the reading experience, like a visual breathing that seems to match the storm's natural cadence. The flames dance more enthusiastically during particularly strong gusts, as if responding to the wild energy pressing against the windows from outside. Near the eastern wall, a series of reading nooks have been carved into the spaces between towering bookcases, each one fitted with its own small window and comfortable seating. These intimate alcoves feel especially cozy during stormy weather, when their partially enclosed nature creates perfect private worlds within the larger library space. Thick curtains in burgundy velvet can be drawn across the openings for complete privacy, but tonight they remain open, allowing the soft glow from the main reading area to spill into these smaller sanctuaries. The storm's electrical activity has begun to affect the manor's newer conveniences in subtle ways. The recently installed telephone in the library's administrative corner occasionally produces faint crackling sounds, as if distant conversations were trying to break through the atmospheric interference. These technological intrusions, rather than disturbing the library's timeless atmosphere, serve as reminders of the modern world's increasing complexity, making the ancient pleasure of reading seem even more precious by contrast. Lady Margaret's collection of botanical illustrations occupies several shelves near the conservatory entrance, and tonight, these detailed studies of plant life seem particularly relevant. Hand-coloured engravings of English wildflowers and garden specimens appear even more vibrant in the dancing firelight, while scientific diagrams of root systems and seed structures remind us of the hidden life that continues beneath the storm-swept earth outside. These volumes bridge the gap between the cultivated world of books and the wild natural forces currently demonstrating their power beyond the windows. The library's ventilation system works particularly efficiently during stormy weather, drawing fresh air through carefully positioned vents while expelling the slightly stale atmosphere that can accumulate in enclosed spaces. This gentle circulation creates almost imperceptible air movements that occasionally stir the pages of open books or cause bookmark ribbons to flutter slightly, adding subtle signs of life to the scholarly stillness that characterizes serious reading sessions. A small collection of weather instruments occupies a corner table near the meteorology section, including a brass barometer whose needle has dropped significantly since afternoon, confirming what the increasingly dramatic weather already suggests about atmospheric pressure changes. An elegant thermometer in its mahogany case shows the temperature remaining steady inside, while presumably dropping outside, and a humidity gauge indicates the perfect balance of moisture that keeps the air comfortable without threatening the precious book collection. The storm's sounds have developed distinct personalities as the evening progresses. The rain against the south-facing windows creates a steady whisper that encourages deeper concentration, while the wind around the building's corners produces occasional moans and sighs that seem almost conversational in nature. Thunder arrives in waves, sometimes as distant rumbles that barely register in consciousness, other times as more dramatic announcements that cause readers to pause momentarily before returning to their chosen texts with renewed appreciation for indoor comfort. Near the literature section, a small display case contains literary curiosities collected by various family members during their travels. Here, a first edition of Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice sits alongside a manuscript page from Charles Dickens, while a letter from Lord Tennyson rests next to a signed photograph of Oscar Wilde. These tangible connections to literary history feel especially meaningful during stormy evenings, when the dramatic weather seems to echo the passionate emotions that drive great storytelling. The library's collection includes several volumes devoted entirely to the study of storms and weather phenomena, written by natural philosophers who attempted to understand these powerful forces through careful observation and measurement. Tonight, these scientific treatises seem particularly appropriate reading material, offering rational explanations for the very forces currently creating such atmospheric drama outside. The contrast between scholarly analysis and immediate sensory experience adds depth to the evening's intellectual possibilities. A comfortable chaise lounge positioned between two tall windows provides an ideal spot for reading longer works that require extended concentration. This particular piece of furniture, upholstered in deep green leather that has softened beautifully with age, can accommodate readers who prefer to recline while pursuing their literary interests. Tonight, the chaise offers perfect positioning to enjoy both the warmth from nearby gas fixtures and the dramatic visual spectacle of lightning illuminating the gardens in brief, brilliant moments. The storm's intensity seems to heighten all the senses, making colours appear richer, sounds more nuanced, and even the texture of book pages more noticeable beneath fingertips. This sensory enhancement transforms routine reading activities into more immersive experiences, where every aspect of the physical interaction with books becomes part of the pleasure. The feel of leather bindings, the whisper of turning pages, and the subtle scent of aging paper all contribute to a multisensory celebration of literature. Mrs. Hartwell has arranged several small conveniences throughout the library to enhance comfort during extended reading sessions. Silver bookmarks rest on strategic tables, ready to hold places in temporarily abandoned volumes. A selection of magnifying glasses with ivory handles waits near sections containing older texts with smaller print. Even a few pairs of reading spectacles in different strengths have been discreetly positioned for guests who might need visual assistance with particularly challenging passages. The philosophy section contains volumes that seem especially suited to contemplation during dramatic weather, when the power of natural forces naturally leads to consideration of larger questions about existence and meaning. Marcus Aurelius's Meditations, bound in worn brown leather that shows evidence of frequent handling, offers stoic perspectives on accepting what cannot be controlled. More contemporary works explore questions about humanity's relationship with nature, themes that gain additional relevance when storm winds demonstrate the awesome power of elemental forces. Near the center of the main reading room, a large Persian carpet in deep jewel tones provides both visual warmth and practical comfort underfoot. This magnificent piece, acquired during Lord Edmund's diplomatic service in the Ottoman Empire, depicts scenes from classical poetry in intricate detail. Tonight, the carpet's rich colours seem even more saturated in the dancing firelight, while its thick pile provides additional insulation from any drafts that might penetrate the library's otherwise perfect climate control. The storm has reached that perfect intensity where it provides constant atmospheric interest without becoming overwhelming or distracting. Each element of the tempest contributes to the overall experience. Rain creates gentle background rhythm. Wind adds occasional dramatic flourishes. Thunder provides punctuation for particularly meaningful reading moments. And lightning offers brief visual excitement that enhances rather than interrupts concentration. This natural symphony seems specifically composed to accompany serious literary engagement. A small writing alcove tucked behind the biography section contains everything necessary for correspondence or personal journaling. The leather-topped desk holds an assortment of fountain pens, each one chosen for its particular writing characteristics, while multiple inkwells offer choices between traditional black, elegant blue, and practical brown inks. Fine writing paper embossed with the family crest waits in neat stacks, and sealing wax in several colours provides options for those who appreciate the traditional formalities of proper correspondence. The library's collection of poetry seems particularly appealing during stormy weather, when dramatic natural forces echo the passionate emotions that drive great verse. Shelley's romantic celebrations of nature's power gain additional meaning when read, while actual storms demonstrate the forces he describes. Byron's darker meditations on isolation and tempestuous feelings seem perfectly suited to evenings when wild weather emphasizes the contrast between external chaos and internal sanctuary. Throughout the library, small reading lamps have been positioned with careful attention to both functionality and aesthetics. Each one provides exactly the right amount of illumination for comfortable reading while contributing to the overall atmosphere of scholarly elegance. The green glass shades filter the gaslight into warm, steady beams that eliminate glare while creating pools of perfect visibility that make extended reading sessions a pleasure rather than a strain. The storm's electrical activity occasionally causes subtle changes in the library's atmosphere that seem almost magical in their effects. Static electricity makes certain fabrics behave differently, causing curtains to move slightly without apparent air currents and making dust motes dance in unexpected patterns through the lamplight. These minor phenomena add an element of natural wonder to the evening's experience, reminding readers that they are witnessing the intersection of human civilization and powerful natural forces. A collection of travel journals kept by various family members during their adventures abroad offers fascinating insights into how different climates and weather patterns affect human experience and perception. These personal accounts, written in various hands across several decades, describe monsoons in India, sandstorms in Egypt, Mediterranean siroccos, and Arctic blizzards with intimate detail that makes distant weather seem immediate and real. Reading these first-hand accounts while experiencing Yorkshire's own dramatic weather creates interesting connections between local and global atmospheric phenomena. The library's acoustics continue to work their subtle magic throughout the evening, transforming potentially disruptive storm sounds into a natural soundtrack that enhances rather than interferes with reading concentration. The careful arrangement of books, furniture, and architectural features creates an environment where even dramatic thunder arrives, softened and musical, while the gentler sounds of rain and wind provide a constant background whisper that actually improves focus rather than disturbing it. Near the natural history section, a glass-fronted cabinet displays specimens and curiosities collected during family expeditions to various parts of the empire. Pressed flowers from Himalayan meadows rest beside shells gathered from Pacific beaches, while minerals from Welsh mines share space with butterflies from tropical forests. Tonight, these tangible reminders of distant places and climates seem particularly poignant, emphasizing both the diversity of the natural world and the comfort of being safely home during dramatic weather. The evening's reading possibilities seem endless, enhanced by the storm's continuing presence beyond the windows. Adventure novels gain additional excitement when their descriptions of dangerous weather are accompanied by actual atmospheric drama. Historical accounts of famous storms throughout British history take on new relevance when read during active tempests. Even domestic fiction seems richer when its cozy family scenes are contrasted with the wild forces currently demonstrating their power outside these protective walls. The grandfather clock chimes again, its deep notes harmonizing perfectly with a particularly impressive roll of thunder that seems to acknowledge the artificial timekeeper's measured authority. This moment of synchronization between human timekeeping and natural drama creates a brief pause in the evening's flow, a moment when all the library's various elements, mechanical and atmospheric, artificial and natural, seem to align in perfect harmony. As the storm maintains its steady intensity and the library continues to provide perfect sanctuary from the tempest, the evening settles into that ideal rhythm where weather and words, comfort and excitement, solitude and connection combine to create an experience that satisfies both intellectual curiosity and emotional needs. This is the kind of night when reading becomes more than mere entertainment or education, transforming into something approaching spiritual nourishment that feeds the deepest parts of the human spirit. The library stands ready to provide whatever literary sustenance the evening might require, its thousands of volumes waiting patiently on their shelves like old friends prepared to share their wisdom, adventure, comfort, or challenge as the mood and weather demand. Outside, the storm continues its dramatic performance. But inside these book-lined walls, time moves at the pace of turning pages and the gentle rhythm of a reader's breathing, creating a perfect balance between the excitement of the tempest and the peace of scholarly sanctuary. The storm's rhythm has become a familiar companion now, its various voices weaving together into a complex symphony that seems to encourage deeper exploration of the library's treasures. Each section of this magnificent collection offers its own particular appeal during such dramatic weather, and tonight the possibilities feel limitless. The maritime history shelves, positioned strategically near windows that offer glimpses of the tempest's fury, contain accounts of famous sea voyages that gain extraordinary resonance when read, while actual storms demonstrate the forces that challenge those brave explorers. Captain James Cook's meticulous journals, bound in salt-stained leather that still carries faint traces of ocean voyages, describe Pacific typhoons with scientific precision that becomes viscerally meaningful when accompanied by Yorkshire thunder. Sir Francis Drake's accounts of navigating treacherous waters around Cape Horn seem particularly vivid when rain lashes the library windows like spray from an angry sea. These historical documents transform from mere scholarly resources into immediate breathing testimonies of human courage in the face of nature's awesome power. The library's collection of geological surveys includes fascinating studies of how weather patterns shape the very landscape around Whitmore Manor. These technical volumes, filled with detailed charts and cross-sectional diagrams, explain how centuries of Yorkshire storms have carved the dales and shaped the moors that surround the estate. Tonight, as rain continues its ancient work of erosion and renewal outside, these scientific explanations take on immediate relevance, connecting the evening's tempest to the vast geological processes that created the countryside's dramatic beauty. A small alcove, dedicated to agricultural texts, contains generations of farming wisdom accumulated by the estate's tenant farmers. These practical volumes, written in straightforward language by men who understood the intimate relationship between weather and livelihood, offer insights that remain relevant despite the passage of decades. Weather prediction based on cloud formations, wind patterns, and animal behavior fills pages that seem especially appropriate for consultation during actual storms, when the techniques described can be observed in real-time application. The children's section, though temporarily unoccupied, maintains its own special charm during stormy evenings. Here, fairy tales from the Brothers Grimm rest alongside collections of English folklore that feature storms as central characters in their narratives. Stories of brave children weathering tempests, wise animals who understand nature's moods, and magical transformations that occur during dramatic weather seem perfectly suited to nights when reality itself feels touched by enchantment. The rocking chair nearby continues its gentle movement, as if invisible young listeners were still settling in for tales that blur the boundaries between fantasy and the very real magic occurring beyond the windows. Near the eastern windows, where lightning flashes provide the most dramatic illumination, a collection of artistic treatises explores how painters and poets have attempted to capture the sublime beauty of storms throughout history. Turner's techniques for depicting atmospheric effects are described in detailed essays that gain new meaning when actual tempests provide live demonstrations of the phenomena he sought to represent. Romantic poets' celebrations of nature's power seem less like literary conventions and more like accurate reporting when read during nights that showcase the very forces they praised in verse. The library's ventilation system has reached perfect equilibrium with the storm's energy, creating air circulation that feels both fresh and warm. Subtle currents carry the faintest hint of rain-washed atmosphere from outside, mixing it with the interior warmth to produce that ideal environment for extended reading that serious bibliophiles recognize immediately. The result is air that seems charged with possibilities, as if the storm's electrical energy has somehow enhanced the very atmosphere surrounding all these accumulated words and ideas. Mrs. Pemberton's influence becomes particularly apparent in the careful annotations she has left throughout the collection's weather-related volumes. Her precise handwriting fills margins with observations that connect theoretical knowledge to practical experience, scholarly research to lived reality. These gentle scholarly conversations between past and present readers create a sense of intellectual community that spans decades, making tonight's solitary reading feel like participation in an ongoing dialogue about humanity's eternal fascination with atmospheric phenomena. The rare manuscripts collection includes several illuminated texts that depict medieval understanding of weather patterns through beautiful artistic representations. Hand-painted margins show seasonal changes in intricate detail, while elaborate initial letters incorporate clouds, rain, and wind into their decorative designs. These ancient books, protected behind glass but clearly visible in the dancing gaslight, represent centuries of human attempts to understand and document the same natural forces currently providing tonight's dramatic entertainment. A comfortable window seat near the poetry section offers an ideal vantage point for observing the storm's visual effects while remaining perfectly warm and protected. From this position, lightning flashes illuminate the formal gardens in brief, spectacular moments that reveal the storm's impact on the carefully maintained landscape. Trees bend gracefully before the wind, their movements creating a natural choreography that seems designed to complement whatever verses might be under consideration. The library's heating system maintains perfect temperature control despite the tempest's attempts to affect the building's internal climate. Warm air circulates quietly through hidden vents, ensuring that even the most distant corners remain inviting for extended reading sessions. This technological achievement allows the storm to provide atmospheric enhancement without compromising the physical comfort that makes serious scholarship possible. The contrast between the wild energy outside and the controlled environment inside emphasizes the triumph of human ingenuity over natural challenges. Near the philosophy section, volumes exploring humanity's relationship with the natural world seem particularly relevant during nights when elemental forces demonstrate their continuing power over human affairs. Ancient Stoic texts offer perspectives on accepting what cannot be controlled, while more contemporary works examine how industrial progress affects our connection to natural rhythms and seasonal cycles. These intellectual frameworks gain practical application when actual storms remind us of nature's persistent authority over human plans and schedules. The correspondence corner has been supplied with writing materials specifically chosen for stormy weather, when the dramatic atmosphere often inspires particularly eloquent letter writing. Heavy paper that can absorb fountain pen ink without bleeding provides ideal surfaces for extended prose, while multiple ink colors offer options for those who appreciate the aesthetic dimensions of handwritten communication. The writing desk's position near a reading lamp ensures perfect illumination for detailed work, while its distance from the windows prevents any atmospheric moisture from affecting delicate paper or sensitive instruments. A collection of botanical journals kept by Lady Margaret during her extensive travels documents how different climates affect plant growth and seasonal cycles around the world. These scientific observations, recorded in her elegant handwriting and illustrated with detailed sketches, offer fascinating insights into the global variations in weather patterns and their effects on vegetation. Tonight, as Yorkshire rain nourishes the manor's gardens, these comparative studies provide broader context for understanding local weather as part of worldwide atmospheric systems. The library's acoustics continue to transform storm sounds into musical accompaniment for reading, with each type of precipitation creating its own distinctive auditory signature. Heavy drops striking the conservatory's glass roof produce different tones than gentler rain against the diamond-paned windows, while wind through the building's various architectural features generates a range of notes that seem almost deliberately composed. This natural orchestra provides constant background interest without ever becoming intrusive or distracting from concentrated reading. Near the travel section, maps of various scales and projections spread across reading tables offer opportunities to trace the global patterns of weather and climate that affect different regions throughout the year. Ocean current charts show how water temperature affects atmospheric conditions, while topographical maps reveal how mountain ranges and coastal features influence local weather patterns. These geographical resources transform abstract meteorological concepts into tangible visual information that enhances understanding of the forces currently demonstrating their power outside. The storm's electrical activity has begun to affect some of the library's more sensitive instruments in subtle ways that add to the evening's sense of natural drama. The barometer's needle continues its steady decline, confirming the low-pressure system's continued presence, while a small electromagnetic device used for scientific demonstrations occasionally responds to atmospheric electrical changes with tiny sparks that seem like miniature lightning captured indoors. A small collection of musical instruments tucked discreetly in one corner includes a violin, whose strings occasionally vibrate sympathetically with particularly resonant thunderclaps, creating faint harmonic responses that seem to connect the storm's natural percussion with human musical traditions. These spontaneous acoustic events add an element of serendipity to the evening's experience, unexpected moments of beauty that emerge from the interaction between natural forces and human artifacts. The library's extensive collection of periodicals includes weather journals and scientific publications that document atmospheric research from around the world. These contemporary sources provide access to the latest understanding of meteorological phenomena, offering rational explanations for the very forces currently creating such dramatic effects outside. The contrast between cutting-edge scientific analysis and the immediate sensory experience of the storm itself creates interesting opportunities for intellectual synthesis. Throughout the evening, small domestic sounds from other parts of the manor occasionally penetrate the library's scholarly atmosphere, reminding readers that this intellectual sanctuary exists within a larger household that continues its routines despite the dramatic weather. The distant chiming of other clocks, the faint sound of servants completing evening duties, and the subtle creaking of the building's timber frame as it adjusts to changing atmospheric pressure all contribute to the sense of being safely sheltered within a living, breathing structure that has weathered countless similar storms throughout its long history. The storm shows no signs of diminishing as the evening progresses toward its deeper hours, but rather than feeling confined by the weather, the library's atmosphere suggests liberation from ordinary constraints. Stormy nights create natural excuses for abandoning normal schedules in favor of extended reading sessions, for exploring books that might normally seem too demanding for casual perusal, and for allowing literary interest to develop their own organic rhythms without reference to external time pressures. Near the natural philosophy section, instruments for conducting simple atmospheric experiments wait ready for curious readers who might want to investigate some of the phenomena they observed during the storm. A small electroscope occasionally responds to changes in atmospheric electrical charge, while simple barometric devices demonstrate the relationship between air pressure and weather patterns. These hands-on educational tools transform passive observation into active scientific inquiry, allowing readers to participate directly in the ongoing conversation between human curiosity and natural forces. The evening's reading possibilities continue to expand as the storm maintains its steady presence, with each new book offering potential connections to the dramatic weather outside. Historical accounts of famous tempests gain immediacy when read during actual storms. Scientific treatises become more meaningful when their theoretical frameworks can be tested against immediate observation, and literary works that celebrate nature's power seem particularly appropriate when that power is actively demonstrating itself beyond the windows. As the grandfather clock prepares to announce another hour's passage, its mechanical precision seems even more remarkable when contrasted with the organic unpredictability of the storm outside. This juxtaposition between human attempts to measure and control time and nature's indifference to artificial schedules creates a philosophical framework that enhances whatever reading material one might choose. The clock's steady presence serves as an anchor point in time, while the storm reminds us that some forces remain forever beyond human control or prediction. The library stands ready to provide whatever intellectual nourishment the remaining evening hours might require. Its carefully organized collection offering pathways into countless worlds of knowledge and imagination. Outside, Yorkshire weather continues its ancient dialogue between earth and sky, while inside these protective walls, generations of accumulated human wisdom waits patiently to engage with whatever questions or interests the storm-enhanced atmosphere might inspire in curious minds seeking shelter from the tempest. From the tempest. As the evening draws toward its natural close, the storm begins to settle into those deeper, more contemplative rhythms that mark the transition from dramatic weather toward peaceful rest. The thunder, while still present, has grown more distant now, rolling across the Yorkshire Dales with the measured cadence of a satisfied conversation drawing to its end. The rain continues its gentle percussion against the windows, but softer now, more whisper than symphony, as if the tempest itself recognizes the approaching hour of quiet restoration. In this perfect sanctuary we have shared together, surrounded by centuries of accumulated wisdom and the comforting presence of countless beloved stories, we find ourselves naturally settling towards sleep's gentle embrace. The library's warmth continues to enfold us like a treasured blanket, while the storm's now gentle sounds provide the ideal lullaby for minds that have been nourished by this evening's literary journey through wind and rain and flickering firelight. Let the grandfather clock's steady chiming mark time's passage toward rest, while the last gaslight flames dance lower in their sconces, casting ever softer shadows across these book-lined walls. Allow yourself to drift now, carried on the wings of stories and the rhythm of rain, into that peaceful sleep that comes so naturally after evenings spent in the company of great books and gentle storms. Sweet dreams, and may you always find such perfect sanctuary when tempests rage beyond your windows.